Hey, today on the Will and Willis podcast, we'll take a look back at one of the biggest scandals that ever hit pro wrestling. It is the WWF Steroid Scandal. All that and more here on the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast.
Spanning the globe for the latest information, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and the behind-the-scenes story. In the world of pro wrestling, it's the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Will and Willis.
Hey, we're back inside the Chameleon Studio live here in Hanahan, beautiful Hanahan, South Carolina. This is Jason Willis, and beside me, as always, Will Spann. What's going on, Will?
She sells at the seashore.
Beautiful, just beautifully put. I don't know how much more eloquent you can be
No,
than
just
that.
how I was feeling.
We've got a
seashore.
we've got a big topic today.
Big
Scandals. Innuendo.
JFK assassination.
No, not JFK. Mm-hmm. No, this is what you said you wanted to talk about last week.
Oh, the juice.
Talk about the juice, not and not OJ. Oh yeah, it's the WWF Steroid Scandal from the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
What do you?
Oh man, let me show you something. When I was looking up something on there, anyway.
Now that we're on video, he's constantly on his phone.
On the article, in the middle of it, it said Hulk Hogan, All-American Liar.
Yeah, I saw. I must have looked at that same article.
That's the reason.
Or no, it was Hulk Hogan bulk from a bottle. That's the one I saw. Yeah, bulk from a bottle.
Wow.
Well, it's no secret that steroid use was rampant in the 1980s and
90s as well.
90s and far beyond that. But
Carrot Top, man, when he's had his little TV show on it, what was that? Not now.
If we go back, steroids used to be legal before 1988. Then
So
they
was
made
cocaine and ordering it
Right.
from the Sears catalog. Yeah.
Well, you got it in your Coca-Cola. So
Really?
yeah, back in you don't remember back? Well, you weren't. We weren't alive.
They put
Like late
Coca-Cola.
19th century, early 1900s. It was an ingredient in Coke.
It's one hell of a drug.
One hell of a drug.
But yeah, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
But looking at steroid use, so 1988, I believe that's when the distribution of steroids became illegal, and then in 1990, the Anabolic Steroid Act was passed in Congress. So that made all anabolic steroids class 3 drugs. So basically felonies to possess, distribute, etc., etc., etc. So how does this involve all of our fun friends in pro wrestling? Well, it's pretty obvious if you take a look who was using and who was not. Some not so obvious.
See, you got on one hand Glass Joe, and on the other hand Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, Super Macho Man. It's a video game reference. So talking about the juice. So in 1988, the timing of this is so weird to me. In 88, the law was passed, and then the WWF had hired a doctor named Dr. Trying to remember
Scratch
his
and
name.
Sniff.
No. I want to say it's Savory. Hang on, I had this.
Dvorak.
Sahorian, there it is, Sahorian. I have to. The Gospel by Mike Mooneyham, Sex, Lies, and Headlocks, available at finer bookstores and online, and also Final Bell. There's a plug for Mike. I had to go back and do some research on this because I was not aware, first of all, of all the legalities involved, and the timing was just ironic to me. It's like as soon as they passed this bill, it's like, let's go get them. Like all the FBI watchdogs were like ready to go. And
Scarface.
They didn't, I don't know if they ever went after Joe Weider and bodybuilding and all that stuff. I know nothing about that. But they decided hardcore, we're going to go after the WWF. So they target Zahorian. Zahorian was the ringside physician for the WWF. And let me preface this by saying, I'm going to say allegedly from now on, because all these things allegedly happened.
Okay.
The
story's
just so the bulldog Jerry McDivitt, who got Vince off of these charges, does not come after me or Will or anybody else here.
Why would they come after us?
Oh, you just we're protecting ourselves. These things, the following allegedly happened.
Okay.
In these circles, and
I'll just formulate it in my head and make it real there.
And it's been covered in this book and other books as well. For example, they say Zahorian would guys would come into his office and they would come out with a big baggie of candy. Let's call it candy.
Oh, we're not in Kansas.
It was quoted. It at one point when the heat was coming on, and allegedly Pat Patterson was the stooge and told Zahorian that, hey, the feds are looking at you. You need to lay low. And I guess Zahorian, being such a mark for the business and or legitimately thought these are my patients now, kept coming around, and they're like, no, go home.
You're heating up the block, man.
Yeah, it's the heat is being turned up. They popped Zahorian.
Okay.
This Dr. George Zahorian.
What was his charge?
Illegal distribution of steroids.
Listen, illegal distribution.
Right.
Not distribution. Illegal distribution.
His trial began in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah, June 24th. I'm having to read some excerpts from the book.
June 24th.
June 24th. Yeah.
That was the same day in 2007 where Chris Benoit died. That's not a coincidence. That date is everywhere.
That is incredibly ironic. It sure is, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So I don't want to jump all over the conspiracies, but we'll.
It's just June 24th. It keeps
that date does pop up a lot. But I'm looking at Mr. Moonham's book here. Apparently, their witness for the trial of Dr. Zahorian was none other than Roddy Piper, and Piper testified. He's testified that on March 23rd of 1990, he called Zahorian, asked for anabolic steroids. He said, "What did you give him?" He said, "I asked for Winstrol, Deca, Durabolin, and some anti-inflammatories. Did you receive the anabolic steroids you ordered from Dr. Zahorian in California?" And Piper said, "Yes, sir." So it was a big, it's pretty. Man. That's pretty damning, right? So they get Zahorian, and Zahorian, since he got popped, starts snitching. starts blowing whistles all over the place. So trying to fast forward here. By 1993, Vince McMahon and the WWF are on the federal radar for the 1993. So right as he closes the World Bodybuilding Federation,
the IBF,
the WBF, yeah,
something, one of them F's.
So, which wasn't having very much success anyway.
They put Lex Luger on the cover of that. That's why.
Well, they did, yeah.
Cigar and Ken Patera.
Oh gosh, so all of this is happening in 93 and 94, and then we have looks like I should have done more research. I apologize, folks.
A year to
It took them a while to, yeah, I guess well, anytime the FBI does an investigation, it takes a while to build a case. So they're trying to
They should have been building the case, like, as in hands-on experience right there.
Yeah, I mean, I can, without looking at the book, I can tell you part of what went wrong, at least for the prosecution.
Another Mark Furman.
Well, no.
No, I'm saying that they dropped the ball.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if they wanted to get, if their goal was to get Vince McMahon, they dropped the ball big time. Yeah.
Wow. That's the difference between
first key witness for the prosecution. Do you want to know who it was?
Oh, please.
Nails. Remember him?
That's hilarious.
Now, what happened between Vince McMahon and Nails?
Nails beat his ass.
Right. So your key witness already has an assault charge against the guy you're trying to prosecute.
Oh, dude, that is hilarious.
Is that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, a reliable witness? I say thee nay. Nay, I say.
Nay. No.
So,
man, that is hilarious.
And there were, and I can't remember all the numbers and facts and figures and stuff like that. It's in the book. It's all over online. But let's just, we'll just preface this by saying dates and names didn't match up in the testimony.
Oh.
At one point, they talked about a shipment a FedEx that had been received supposedly by Hulk Hogan. Hogan had never been in the building that night. The WWF had not been at that building that night.
The old,
So there was a lot of, there's a lot of fumbleitis,
but
going on by the federal prosecutors, and everything I know about Mr. McDivitt, he's on his game as far as being Vince McMahon's lawyer. So
here's one for you.
Okay.
Do they all say the same thing and just getting the times screwed up?
Let's look.
Because that's blockchain technology.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, if you got a bunch of people that say there was an ice age at such and such time period, but the time period within that's 2,000 years. In that 2,000-year block, from the point of view that the watch is looking, it happened no matter what you say, because it can be accounted for by two or more people.
So just to give you examples of some of this testimony, Rick Rude testified. They asked him, said, did Vince McMahon tell you should go on the gas? Not in those words, Rude answered. He said, he may have said, when you're down or sore, you have to push yourself, which sounds like nothing about steroids. Rick Rude did admit to steroid use, but he said he stopped taking steroids because he and his wife wanted to have a child. It had nothing to do with an investigation. So, right there, one of your witnesses is already, poking holes in your in your case.
A national arm wrestling champion.
Yeah. Let's see. Nails testified. I suggest you go on the gas. When he tried to politely sidestep the issue, he testified that McMahon replied, well, life's not fair. The ball's in your court. Of course, when you beat up your boss, then you're not going to be so reliable. They put Pat Patterson on the stand and said, you saw wrestlers lined up to get steroids, didn't you? No, Patterson insisted they were lining up to get their blood pressure taken. I said, so you knew what he was doing was wrong. He said, no, he didn't. So you never heard about steroids? No, he never talked about it. So they produced that memo about, hey, Zahorian, don't show up. There was a memo between Linda McMahon and Pat Patterson. And let's see. Glancing at the memo, Patterson said he'd never seen it before. No, had spoken with Linda McMahon about it. He also denied something that he had testified before the grand jury, that he had asked Zahorian to call him back from a payphone because he was afraid of being overheard by feds. When asked whose idea it was to warn Zahorian, Patterson fell on his sword. Well, it was my idea. Okay, so That's kind of damning. Mm-hmm. But he also said later that a higher-ranking official was keeping Zahorian away from shows, and Zahorian said, well, the boys need their candies, and she told him the boys can get their candies somewhere else. That's page 125 in Sex, Lies, and Headlines.
Wow.
Wow, this really goes on.
But you see where I'm coming from.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
The fact that they made mention that something was explained, interpreted, therefore giving way for the illegal distribution.
Yeah.
Just because you're doing it doesn't make it right.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, it's who says it's right and who says it's wrong.
Yeah.
Blur those lines and you're going to see forces of nature come through quickly.
Like I say, I see a lot of blurred lines here. I don't, like I said, at some of these times that they're talking about, I mean, we're right on the edge of legality and non-legality.
Gotta love to be an 80s kid.
Yeah. I know part of this case that a lot of heat was on Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan came on Arsenio Hall and denied he had ever used steroids, which Vince McMahon later said, I wish Hogan hadn't lied, which caused a lot of heat between the two of them for a while.
Because Macho Man came on the Arsenio Hall show, and he straight up told me, yeah, I used them.
Yeah. I think it would have been better for everybody to just admit it and move on, you know?
The majority of the people who were using them are just like the NFL players.
But I think where they made...
Dead.
Where this case went wrong, with they signaled out Vince McMahon as the guy that was giving them out. And from all evidence that is in the book, read online, it wasn't true. And once they found out, I'm going to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I know when you're the boss, you should know these things, but at the same time, once it became a thing that the feds were going to get involved in this, and that this was, you know, this laws were coming down, they looked like they were trying to put a stop to it.
A long time coming, too.
And Zahorian kept coming around. So
it's like a virus, virus. It's combating back and forth until it hit critical mass. No. I'm going to say it like this. Have you seen that movie, The Devil's Advocate?
I have seen the movie, The Devil's Advocate.
Line this book up with that movie and tell me that they don't fit the template.
A little bit, yeah. Let's see.
Because that's what happened during 1993, 94. They were getting all their ducks in a row.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. It took them 5 years to build this case.
And all they needed was a tape recorder.
So, closing ceremonies. This is a corporation of drug pushers trying to blame the little guy. This hugely successful money machine mixed up chemical cocktails to get its wrestlers pumped up and keep them going. It's shameful and illegal. And McDivitt, who is Vince McMahon lawyers, said, shameful, maybe, illegal, well, stalking the same floor, that was another story. The government can't prove conspiracy. Couldn't prove a single conversation between Vince McMahon and Zahorian, and certainly couldn't prove that Pat Patterson had ordered people to keep him off the payroll. And pulling out their ace in the hole, McDivitt said the WWF didn't even hire Zahorian after Pennsylvania changed its law. So if there's it said, where's the cover-up? It said no records were destroyed. As a cover-up, McDivitt said, this is the most lousy cover-up. Every single piece of evidence is still sitting there. This conspiracy idea is trying to create a crime when there wasn't one. They have the burden of proof. They didn't prove it.
So if that's the case...
Verdict, not guilty.
And the employees of the WWE shouldn't even be talking about it. Because, I mean, really, it was a typo that kept you out of jail. That's all it was, addressing who we're putting the blame on.
Right. Yeah. Reasonable doubt.
Oh, somebody was going to get disbarred after that one. I'm sorry. That's a
I wonder what happened to that guy. The guy's name was O'Shea, this prosecutor. I wonder what happened to him.
Oh, O'Shea.
Yeah. I don't know either. I guess you'd have to look that one up. So anyway, here's this big trial, and all these resources were spent, and money was spent.
Richard O'Shea.
Richard O'Shea, yeah. Which, ironically, a few years later would lead to the most successful period that WWF had enjoyed since the 1980s in Hulkamania, which was the Attitude Era. Because once the trial ended in late 94, early 95, they were able to go in a more harder direction, and said they had wanted to take a harder edge before, but the weight of the trial and everything, they had to keep a squeaky clean image.
Think about that.
This is why you get Doink the Clown.
And Stone Cold at the Slammies?
No, that was after. That's 96. Yeah, that's after. 96 is when we started taking a big turn.
Nobody likes clowns anyway.
Yeah, we took a big turn in 1996. That's when we got Austin 316. That's what we got the... right before they called it Attitude, McMahon was taking a more... This is not a wrestling show. This is a television show. So it was like... It almost became like Law and Order. With Austin breaking into Pillman's house. We've got gunfire
really? Oh man!
Do you remember all that?
Now let's be real. I'm a black man in America, and if I go and break into somebody's house,
we call this segment "Keeping It Real."
When keeping it real
when
goes
keeping
wrong.
it real.
Dude, they're gonna fry my ass, man. Dude, no. I think that was the most idiotic time in wrestling. I mean, ushering in Austin 316, because that was the single most, popular gimmick of all time.
Sure.
And Owen took him down.
Owen almost wrecked it before it got started.
Owen 316 said, "I just broke your neck."
Yeah.
And look how it fits the timeline.
This time.
And it's like, wow, dude. You would think that if they had to keep the squeaky clean image, and you had these skirmishes going
all through now I'm talking all through the trial. Now once the trial's over, we've got carte blanche to do what we want within whatever parameters USA is letting down. And apparently, like, there for a while they were loving it because the ratings
were up there.
They were getting up, yeah.
And in America, you showed your true morals and put Trish Stratus in the ring, barking at the dog. Man, I used to hate having to choose between WWE or WCW to watch, because some of the storylines were just so crazy. I mean, look, once again, I'm a black man in America.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. If we want to go back to steroids for a minute, let me say this. I don't... How can I say this without being too controversial?
Speak your mind.
I don't hate the fact, and I certainly don't blame anyone for taking them, using them. Abusing them is something else, because you can do that with alcohol or cigarettes or anything else that's currently legal.
This is true.
Speaking from a performer's perspective, if I were the type of guy that needed to be on the road 250, 300 days a week, and my body's getting beat up all the time, wouldn't you want something that would, like, heal yourself? And, back in the 80s, they told guys, it's like, this is no more dangerous than sugar, because nobody really knew.
Wow.
Hogan.
Oh,
there's a quote from Hogan in there, and it said, "Hey, this is no more dangerous than putting sugar in your body, so why shouldn't I?" And there's not. We've heard stories about people getting sick and these other things, but there's not like this tight. I don't know if the research has ever been done. There's not this tight window of evidence. There's not a lot of bodies.
Not for steroids. No.
Not for steroids. No. We've got some accusations that these might have been involved, but no direct links to steroid use that has actually killed someone.
Well, I'm not going to jump too far out of WWE. I'm going to still keep it in Hollywood. What happened to Chadwick Boseman then?
Chadwick had cancer, bro.
Yeah, colon cancer.
Colon cancer, yeah.
Which is one of the side effects that could catch you during the
But
steroid.
there's no link there. There's no.
You see how big doggone Black Panther been in the movies, dude?
No, I agree. I'm not saying.
I'm like, wow.
But there's nothing that's come out that said Chadwick Boseman was using steroids. Let me say something about steroids. All right, if steroids was killing that many people, Hulk Hogan should be dead.
Dead.
Sylvester Stallone should be dead.
Arnold
should be dead.
All right, here's one.
Yeah.
Vince
McMahon should be dead. Yeah.
And off the record, I think Vince McMahon has probably
Joe
one of the
Weider.
top.
Joe Weider lived into his 90s,
Yeah.
and that man juiced.
Juiced to the point to where he's got his own protein supplement.
Exactly. Yeah. Lou Ferrigno would be dead.
Yeah.
God, who else? Probably half the people in Hollywood right now would be dead.
Triple H.
Triple A, yeah. Ric Flair.
It's tripped me out though.
I mean, he
Rick
admitted
Rude.
he used them, at certain points of his career. He certainly didn't abuse them. Ric Flair was huge in 1972.
300 pounds, dude.
Yeah,
Easy.
he was huge. Yeah.
Rick Rude. Let's jump back to that one. He went on the stand and
Heart.
said...
He said he used them. Heart.
okay.
Heart problems. Okay.
Yeah.
There may or may not be a link. Was his? Like I said, I don't know the details of Rick Rude's death. You would probably have to look it up to see if his heart was enlarged or something like that. Now that has been a side effect for some people.
I heard it was it was steroids.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying I'm not saying they're safe. 100% safe.
right.
But should we be allocating those resources to let's go pop steroid users like we pop marijuana users and waste that kind of money? Of course, that was the whole big thing back then, the war on drugs.
Oh boy. Cause see that little misnomer there.
Well, I'd rather have a mass murderer off the street than a steroid user. If the steroid user isn't doing anything else but, I'm taking these so my body will look good.
But what if the mass murderer's a Hulk Hogan fan?
If he's a fan,
Yeah.
then he's just as crazy as every other fan of things that have gone out and done bad things.
Oh yeah, like that big Pantera fan that went in there
can't
one
blame-
night and blew Dimebag's head off.
Yeah, right. Well, do you? Okay, you're a metal guy.
Right?
Do you blame Ozzy for all the stuff that he was ever accused of? Just because he wrote songs about controversial subjects?
Okay. This is just like the steroid case. One side you got steroids, other side you've got a song by Ozzy Osbourne called Suicide Solution.
Right.
Okay. Not everybody's going to pick up on the fact that a suicide solution could be making reference to alcohol.
Correct.
And if you listen to the song, take a bottle, drown your sorrows, then it floods away tomorrow.
Don't get us in copyright trouble.
What? Oh,
I'm just
but
messing
I'm
with
saying,
you. I'm just messing with you.
if you listen to that, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that he's not talking about gasoline.
No.
I mean, but there's certain things in that song, after studying it, that why would you backmask the phrases, you've got it, why try, get the gun, shoot. Why would you put that in the song if you're sticking so much to the alcohol deal?
We'd have to ask Mr. Osborne about that one.
I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, it put the burden of the proof back into the listener, because if you can't listen to the tune without an irrational attraction to shotguns and other firearms, you shouldn't be listening to it. Yes, Tipper Gore was putting the parental advisory on certain albums and everything.
I'm not so mad at that.
Because it was the kids who were the one buying them.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you would have never heard of
had to sneak those,
Slipknot.
Had to sneak those Prince albums. Like Darling Nikki, you know.
Really? And if you didn't get it on the album, when Purple Rain came out, you got it.
You got it. You got it.
Wow. I get it. But just like the WWF case, what the PMRC did was come after Dave Mustaine and their name Megadeth.
Sure.
And Twisted Sister, Dee Snider. Hey, dude, the man's a genius. And just because they looked a certain way, that's who we're going to run our tests on. But you got a redhead German on fire and a 6'9" lead singer and Dee Snider, they're not going to take it. So I'm going to bit back.
So I'm going to go back to. So I'm going to loop back to steroids.
Why they're still biting?
I don't think they're biting as much as they used to.
Oh, really?
Well, there's a policy in place now, at least, that they can point to and said, yes, we test for this, we test for that. We, if somebody has a strike or whatever, we suspend them for 60 days, 90 days, whatever.
And a good acquaintance of mine in Eddie Guerrero had to pay the ultimate price for that.
Sure.
So I'm not going to just the wellness policy. No.
I'm not, whoa. Don't think I'm like taking Vince's side on everything here. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's just something they could. If the federal government comes in, that's something they can point to and say, yes, we're trying to
a checkpoint,
institute protocols to protect our performers. That's not saying it works, or it's the best policy, or it's strictly enforced. How do you prove enforcement on something like that? I'm just saying there's something in place where years ago there wasn't. I mean, there was some random drug testing. I mean, that's how Tully got popped,
But that's what claimed Reed's life.
Not necessarily. No, that has nothing to do with WWE though. He wasn't under contract.
But by name and association, he's an essential independent contractor.
Well, okay. Gosh, this is going into some scary territory.
What McDevitt's doing with the game.
This is going into some scary territory. The young man had issues. Let's just say that. But you can't blame I don't think you can blame the sport of wrestling.
No.
Or and you definitely can't blame Vince McMahon.
But you can blame advertisement.
In what way?
How many times certain things are in rotation and what's available and for how long.
Well, I believe that anyone that needs help should get it if they're willing to accept help. If Reed had a problem and wasn't...
I'm not even talking about, not right now as far as Reed having a problem. I'm just saying how it was looked at when it dropped. And I know, Rick, that hit and hurt like hell.
Oh, yeah, when anyone would lose a child like that.
But then that also points the finger at me and any other parent that's supposed to raise their kid right. We don't get it all right.
But see, we're not. But see what the topic was steroids, right?
Right.
So now we're comparing apples to oranges.
No, not necessarily. It's what you're putting up in the front to be attacked. Like we were talking earlier about as soon as the law was established, that's when they want to jump on WWF.
That's when they jumped on everything.
Right, because everything was in place.
But look at steroids versus I highly recommend to anyone that's watching this program right now, and to Will if he hasn't seen it, a documentary called Bigger, Stronger, Faster. It's all about steroids, and it's all about supplement use. Do you know that the supplement industry in America is unregulated? That's vitamins, protein powders, weight loss products, fat burners, etc. I can go on.
So since they're not governed,
they are not subject to FDA approval. Do you want to know why?
Yes, I would like to know why.
Because Senator Warren Hatch of Utah got it through Congress to deregulate that industry, because that industry brings in $5 billion a year to his state.
Wait a minute.
That is on record. That is you can look that up.
Remember the guy who was on the dark web and bought all those drugs online? And
was it the guy that's the arms explode guy?
I think I'm not. No.
Well, they popped him too for some other for some other stuff.
They were watching him for 3 years, and to my understanding, the death by overdose rate went from, I'd say, in the mid 13,000 to 52,000 in the 3 years that they were watching him and all the drugs. And they gave him 68 years on a charge that he should not have gotten no more than 5. Is this the same Governor Hatch?
It could be. I would have to look in. Probably. I'd have to look at it. But see, that's something else. No, I didn't look into all that. I just know that documentary is out there. Warren Hatch couldn't even answer the questions. When the guy asked, oh gosh, I wish I could remember what this fellow's name. His brother was actually a underneath guy in WWE. And he was debating, his brother used steroids, he didn't. He was debating whether or not he should use them or not. That was the whole point of him starting this documentary. Mm-hmm. And
I think I watched that.
And then he had actually talked to Warren Hatch. Warren Hatch could barely answer. If you think Joe Biden is fumbling on some of these questions, go watch Warren Hatch in this documentary. He goes, I think steroids are illegal, are they? Didn't we make those? Oh, yeah, they are. He kept referring to somebody off camera, like an assistant or something like that. He couldn't even answer the questions.
The batteries ran out of his teleprompter.
It was so bad.
But man,
it was so bad.
All this stuff follows a certain script. If you're dealing with drug dealers, you're going to have this, that, and the third.
Well, if you have, since steroids are illegal and people that use steroids are still going to use steroids, then you're talking black market, and you don't know what you're dealing. Once you go there, then you don't really know what you're dealing with.
Actually, you do. You change the name.
Well, some people. That's why.
Performance enhancing drugs.
That's why people like Sylvester Stallone got popped overseas
and then,
for HGH.
Wow. Okay, Rambo can't take his medicine, so you're going to take all his drugs from him, and he can't look the part.
Well, that's
dumb as hell.
Well, that's.
Even on a low level, class about it.
What did Ricky Gervais just say on the Golden Globes not that long ago? It's like these people aren't actors. They take steroids and go to the gym, And then he said, do we have an award for most ripped junkie?
Wow.
Did you hear him say that? No, that was terrible. Yeah.
But think of what he just said.
He's saying all these guys. Yeah. He's saying all these guys are on the juice. They probably are. Allegedly. Let's just throw that in there. Allegedly.
So Jimmy Superfly Snooker was on the juice.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
Man, no way.
You don't think Snuka was juicing?
Snuka was brutal. Man, look, if you put him when he came out next to Haku, no.
Somebody needs to look at that.
Man, those dudes were big. I mean,
they're big, but look how ripped Jimmy Snuka was compared to Haku.
Yeah, but he was one of them muscle heads. Them Hulk Hogan's.
You could be a muscle head. Okay, look. Here's what steroids just make you more of what you already are. It helps your healing process. You're just going to work out harder. So that I'm not knocking guys that use it.
Okay.
I'm actually one of those people that are like, hey, why is it illegal? Why can't we just go to if it's something that's going to improve our life, possibly prolong our life if it's done the right way? Why can't you just go to a doctor and say, hey, hook me up with some tests and I'm good to go?
Where is the right way in asking anybody for a prescription of something that's going to significantly change the length of my tool? No.
What?
That is the common denominator I get across the board.
What?
Steroids make my pee shrink.
You take other things to keep that from happening.
Laughter is not what I want to hear in the bedroom. No, man.
It's testicular shrinkage, not the big guy.
Wait a second. Hold on. Weed does that.
No, it shrinks your little guys?
Yeah, you.
Or your big guys?
Marijuana used to make you sterile. Especially smoking the seeds, but I can't find the logic why somebody wouldn't clean that out before.
We've gone all over this drug topic today.
And it's always, no matter what topic we talk about as far as the drugs is concerned, they still follow that same pattern. You're going to have your junkies, you're going to have your pushers, you're going to have your big boys, you're going to have your Dino Bravos. And you're
your Dino Bravos.
That's the double agent, the one that both sides of the fence to try to
But are we just going to blame? Here's my thing. I'm getting pumped up. Are we just going to blame wrestling? Because if you look at any other sport, here's what started the whole thing. I forgot to make this point. The whole thing started in '88 when the United States really started looking at it, is because
La Zato.
No. Canadian guy, Ben, what's his name?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson won
beat Carl Lewis like a dog.
Yeah. That's where it all started. That's where that whole thing started.
Come on, man. I'm
talking about when the United States really got involved with making it illegal.
Now, I just had a whole outline of a joke go through my head just now. I'm like, no, I don't find that disturbing to look at. I don't find it weird or strange as long as it was two brothers. The brothers always gonna have to get faster, man. Look, no. Now, had this been like Vladi Divac or something. No, man.
Let's go back to what you said though. Lyle Zato, they never proved steroid brain cancer. Now, did the steroids give him brain cancer? That still hasn't, to this day, that hasn't been proven.
There was an interview with him on Inside the NFL. Mm-hmm. He said it himself.
That
his little guy started shrinking.
And we're talking about his little guys. His little guys didn't kill him. His brain cancer killed him.
That wasn't what he...
That is how Lyle Alzado died. He had brain cancer.
I stand corrected.
I'm just telling. I'm telling you. You may retrieve your mobile device and look it up.
Because I heard, like how somebody could tell you one thing and then your brain registers different. And,
yes.
They call that ADHD.
Well, I have that too, but I'm trying to stay focused.
Wow. I remember he used to drop bombs on people. I'm like, wow. Brain cancer? How did you develop the brain cancer?
Well, that's just it. There is there a steroid link? We don't know. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
In the world of Jason, abuse of anything is bad. Abuse of anything. You can drink too much water and die.
You sure can strip your system of nutrients.
So what I'm saying is, if you make the decision to use these things, then you have to be extra careful, number one. You have to look at the legality of it, number two. Do I think they should be illegal? No. I think you should have I'm one of those guys that's into small government. I don't think people's lives should be regular. If I go out today and I drink a quart of Pine Sol, I'm going to probably get very sick or possibly die. But
you'll smell great.
But I'll smell great. Do you blame the Pine Sol?
No. Whoa.
So do you blame the steroids?
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? It's not that we have to. You and I don't have to agree.
Oh,
Did you see? Is it brain cancer?
Listen to this. Alzado died of complications of a rare form of brain cancer,
right,
which was diagnosed a year ago, and which the athlete attributed to his years of taking massive doses of steroids to build and maintain a formidable physique.
But was that proven? I can maintain that I'm fat because McDonald's made me fat, but that doesn't mean McDonald's made me fat.
If it comes out your mouth, because like I said, I saw the interview on TV and I was like, because when people die, I just didn't get that in my life. What happened to you? What made you want to stop living? Is what I used to program in my head.
Yeah.
And then you take massive doses of steroids.
I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, Alzado, I'm talking about this case here.
Yeah.
He knows that this is what this does.
Mm-hmm.
That rare form of brain cancer wasn't discovered yet.
Possible.
But something into the effect that he knew that if he was going to ride that line,
mm-hmm,
teeter, fall, and as much as the more you do it, you keep spinning that barrel.
I'm taking these massive amounts of steroids. These might not be good for me.
Okay. Can you make money any other way than playing football? Because playing football...
Maybe he couldn't.
Well...
Wasn't he going into acting, though? Toward the end of his...
Yes! Dude, you remember every little piece of this. I'm like...
No, I seem to remember he was making a show about a guy who used to be a wrestler and stuff like that, and he was going to have this show, and because he got sick, he couldn't do it.
That's funny. That show never came out.
Yeah. I know they filmed some stuff. I think it was called Hitting the Ropes or something like that. It was going to be the show. He's going to be this ex-pro wrestler or something like that, or this wrestler making a comeback. Way before Mickey Rourke, folks.
Mickey Rourke been whacked. Ernest the Cat Miller was that was the man there.
Ernest the Cat.
Ernest Miller. I loved it. He did. I mean, now
way off subject. Ernest.
You could look and one would probably start to make a case. He's
Ernest the Cat
big.
Miller. Ernest the Cat Miller was the first pro wrestler outside of my sphere to add me as a friend on Instagram. Yes, Ernest Miller.
The 3-time world karate
love
champion.
You, man. Love you.
Oh, yeah, he's cool. He knows my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk. I don't know if I run into him. He goes, have you seen the cat lately? Yeah, I just talking to him a couple of days ago. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish I wasn't leaving Atlanta now, dude. I said, why don't you take me to see him? We should get on the show.
We had it. So we had a good little steroid talk. Do you want to? Go ahead. No, if there's something, let's don't leave a thought unfinished.
Ow.
If you've got something.
I want you to look at this picture, his last bit of time.
Yeah, he does. He looks bad. I know the camera can't see this, but
anybody?
I don't think they're going to be able. I don't think they're going to be able to
do
that. See that.
Dude, I swear to God, he looks like something off of Saturday Night Live.
He looks bad. Yeah. Well, he was very. I'm not denying the man was very, very sick.
But look at him here.
Yeah, he looks like a beast.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a beast. Too much of anything is bad.
Yeah, because there's this thing called moderation.
Exactly.
And when people, well, I'm going to speak for what I know, AA and NA.
Okay.
If you work the system, you don't follow that path anymore. When you work the system, you don't follow that path anymore. So when people say, I'm on the AA, NA trail, and I'm like, I'm watching. I can tell you, I've met some of the coolest people within AA and NA, and I'm not trying to put them all out there. They're good people, and the one thing in their life that they're hell-bent on keeping is their sobriety. All this other stuff that comes behind it, the only way you can see it is through moderation. The next level up is, no, it's not part of my life anymore. For whatever reason it may be. Mine, I stopped drinking and drugging because I missed an Alice in Chains concert that I paid for. I got out of jail the next day and was super pissed that they were finally coming back around because I missed the one before then. And I was like, yes, disorderly conduct, my black ass is in jail.
That is amazing. That's why you stopped. You missed an
Alice in Chains.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. It's a serious thing. I shouldn't be making light of it.
Spend $180 on a concert and then you get picked up 3 days before the concert? Oh, no.
Oh, man.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then you got to bring it back to this substance, this, for lack of better terms, dirt, is what's going to rule my life. Can't see it, people.
All right. Well,
can't see it. But that's for, I mean, easy does it. That's how you take one day at a time. You can't, I mean, you didn't get, excuse my French, fucked up overnight. So,
oh, jeez.
No, man, just because you don't.
No, you're going to make it tougher to edit.
I mean, steroid use is just like steroid abuse.
Yes, abuse of anything
is no different than any other addiction. And being a recovering addict, hey, there's a source. I have a spot for addicts because I know where they're coming from. I just chose to do it this way because I knew that way said 100% success. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you want that 100, go see somebody from AA.
This PSA has been brought to you by Will Span.
I'm sorry,
and do not necessarily reflect the thoughts and opinions here at the Will and Willis podcast. I'm sorry.
It's just
I made light of. I'm sorry. I made light of a sensitive subject. No, listen. I guess the bottom line here is, and just like you said, man, if steroids, drugs, painkillers, opiates. I can go on and on down the list. Alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. If you have an addiction, please seek help. Please seek help. That's
if you can't get
you
help,
only have one life.
And I miss the Road Warriors, people.
I do miss the Road Warriors bad.
And I mean,
you want to lighten the tone a little bit? Next week. Ooh, excuse me. My lunch came back to haunt me.
What a rush.
Next week, we have a guest. Our first guest here on the program.
Oh, wow.
And we're going remote on the program. It's going to be exciting, Will. Will, calm down. You're like you're thinking and sweating.
Well, it was just the addiction thing, man. I'm just like way out there now because this is serious, man. I lost a guitar player. Talked to him at 4 o'clock in the morning. Told him we'll be at the studio by 10. And do you know, his obituary was on his Facebook page, man. A lot of times I think that had he not done what he did, I'd be playing somewhere. But I don't cry over spilled milk. And this is where I'm supposed to be. If you ever feel like you can't handle, call somebody, man. Call somebody, because taking the cheap way out, you don't know. You cheat yourself, but you cheat your kids that you leave behind, your spouses, and anybody who you just might have come across in passing and said something nice to. I'm sorry, man.
No, amen, brother. I had, and we're going to wrap here in a second, but I mean, I had a cousin that had problems and wrapped himself around a telephone pole at 94 miles an hour, 24 years old. And, you know, it's like I said, we've kind of poked fun and we've made light, and, you know, addiction is a serious thing. So I didn't mean to make light of it today, but
I understand.
But in the, you know, in trying to keep it light and airy, I will just say that, yeah, reach out. If you've got problems, reach out. So,
I'm dealing with what's
you okay, man?
No, I got a son.
Yeah, tell you what's up.
I got my son.
That's what's up.
I know he's going through some things, and being a parent, I'm part of those problems that he's going through, and I'm not going to step down from my position, but I don't want to ever have him feel that he can't come to me. And I'm going to live my life, make sure. Man, y'all don't know. I've seen so much death, unnecessary death. You got to stand up and fight. And if it's through professional wrestling that I do this, hey, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun and save a life.
Yeah, there you go. All right. You are my brother, and I love you. Thank you for doing this podcast for me. Hey, man, first of all, I appreciate, you know, what you're going through and everything. And I just want to say I love you. You're my partner. We're here for you.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you. Hey, for real.
No, man, that was real emotion, and I appreciate that. I do. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that. We're serious now, but we're going to have some fun on Friday. Because we've got cheerleader Melissa is going to be on this show, and we're going to be remote. And we're going to YouTube, and things are starting to happen here on the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast. So
Cheerleader Melissa.
Cheerleader Melissa, yeah. I told you that.
I thought we were going to talk to her like on the phone or something.
We are going to talk to her on the. No, she's not going to be here.
Oh, well,
we're going to talk to her remote from Vegas, from Las Vegas, from her wonderful home in Las Vegas. I wish we could get her.
Oh, that's what I was like. Wow.
When we get Mike Mooneyham, he will be here.
Oh,
he will be with us.
That's like having Vince McMahon here.
We'll get Mike. All right. For Jason Willis.
And your host, William Spann.
We will see you guys next time on the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast.